Since Emic Trunk Heart is still the fusion, I figured why not do some more Emic Trunk Heart speed tunes? You guys are getting them to build clan boss teams, probably. So I figured I might as well show you as many options as possible. And today we're going to show you one of the more complex ones, one of the more difficult ones, but also maybe one of the best ones. We're going to use Taurus as the stun target. Welcome on the DeadwoodJedi. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. We are on the test server today looking at Emic Trunk Heart again, and we're going to be bringing Emic Trunk Heart together with Taurus to make an unkillable team. This is a real challenge to do because Taurus has a real unique kit, and it's very hard to get stun targeting perfectly right. There's obviously going to be a lot of caveats, so make sure you stay till the end of the video where I'm going to cover as many of the permutations, the exemptions, all that stuff with the video, with the speed tune, I should say. So you know exactly how to use them. Now, of course, if you don't want to listen to all that, which I get, I understand, you can always go to my website, DeadwoodJedi.com, where I have this speed tune exactly written out and as much of the information as I can include. This is called the Slow Beating Trunk Heart. I really like the name. It's like slow beating heart, right? Slow beating trunk heart. Yeah. Anyway, it's the slow beating trunk heart. It's a slow team, right? Because just trunk heart going at a 4-3, everybody else is at a 1-1 ratio. The cooldown from trunk heart is making it a lot easier to be able to use champions like Taurus than we would be able to otherwise. And you can see there's plenty of information here. It's a lot of white text back there detailing all the little things that you need to know in order to make this work. It's not that complex of a speed tune, but there are a fair number of exceptions and use cases depending on who you're bringing in. And so we just try to cover all that, whether you're using a cleanser or a debuff blocker or a Taurus or a Warcaster or a Sir Nicholas or the Mytha or whomever it might be. So because of all that, we're covering this. And so this is just another one of those teams. And I figured might as well show this while I have access to the test server so you guys can actually see how this works. So what I want to do, we're going to go in, we're going to show you the setup of this team, talk a little bit about some of the things that you need to do to make this work. And I do want to address a little bit about stun targeting because that's the key to making this team work. Then we'll jump in the run. If you enjoyed today's video, please don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell. That way you don't miss the next one. All right, the key to this team, of course, is going to be Emic. Emic's the key. I mean, it's named after him. It's the Trunk Heart team, right? And so we're obviously going to be using his unkillable ability in his A3 skill. That's obviously very crucial. And we do him going at a 4-3 ratio to make that work. We're also going to be using the Vinequake, the cooldown reduction ability of his, and that's going to enable everything else in this team to work the way it's supposed to. So the key to this, of course, is going to be Taurus outside of Emic. It's going to be Taurus. And the big thing is his Toxic Nova ability. And this is an unkillable ability. It gives him unkillable for 2 turns. It drops his HP all the way down to 1, which makes targeting really easy, right? The clan boss is definitely going to target him because he has almost no HP. But there's a trick to that. And you got to be aware of this in order to make this really work for you to understand how this works. Is the clan boss, if a champion has unkillable on themselves and they have less than 16% HP, the clan boss is going to know that they have unkillable and avoid them. So how do we make this work? Well, we have to make sure we heal up enough to have at least 16%. This is the whole idea behind the budget unkillable ability. And this is what we're doing here with Taurus. We're making sure he heals up enough over that 16% threshold so that he can be targeted by the clan boss. Of course, we also have to make sure everybody else has more than that 16% HP of their HP bar filled so the clan boss won't target them. And then overriding all of that is affinity. Affinity matters. Affinity always matters. If you're going against a clan boss where Taurus is strong affinity spirit, you can't use Taurus. It won't work. It won't get stunned. Don't do it. Okay. So how do we do this? Well, we're using lifesteal gear on most of our 2 DPS champions so that they'll heal up full every time. And we're using regen and immortal gear on both Emic and Doom Priest to make sure that they have more than that 16% threshold. Now, of course, if I wanted to stay totally safe, I would just put lifesteal on all 4 of those champions and make sure they all heal up full. But I wanted to see if we can't do it just by manipulating the HP bar, utilizing the different sets that we have available, and I think we're able to do that. And now Taurus himself has regen, as well as the 7.5% healing we get from Doom Priest every turn. So he's actually going to be healing up to about 22.5%. and that's going to be great for him. I think that's actually going to work out really nicely. He should have more than enough HP so the clan boss can target him, but not so much that he's going to outstrip everybody else. Both Emic and Doom Priest are healing for the same amount, plus an extra 3% with the Immortal gear. So if everything works the way it should, Taurus will get the targeting of the stun every single time, but hopefully it works. We'll have to see if that's actually how it works. Now, there's a couple things about these champions that I didn't even anticipate until I got in here, but one of them is that if you're going to use lifesteal, you better make sure you're doing an attack. So in order to make that happen, Geomancer, I have to prioritize his A2 ability. Remember, Emic cools down everybody's skills. So what ends up happening is, especially if you have a 3-turn cooldown ability, right, like Geomancer does, is his most prioritized skill will end up going after Emic uses his A2. It's inevitable that's how it's going to work out. Well, Quicksand Grasp here is a great skill, but it's not an attack. It doesn't do any damage, and so he won't heal up from lifesteal. So I had to change the priorities to make that work. Same thing with Doom Priest. I actually had Doom Priest and lifesteal, but I really like this mass production ability, the increased attack buff. It makes everybody else hit harder, but the problem is it's not an attack either. So instead I swapped her to regen and Immortal gear, and hopefully this will work. So that's the idea behind this. That's the kind of the theory crafting behind all of this. So hopefully it works. So we're about to find out right now. This should be an affinity friendly team, so let's jump in. Okay, as we jump in, we can see we start off with the unkillable ability from Emic, and then we get the increased attack from Doom Priest. Everybody's doing their thing. There goes Taurus, drops the unkillable, puts up the poisons. Now he has no health. So now he's got to heal up, and we're gonna have to do it with that regen, which hopefully should be happening here, and Doom Priest heal, and boom, he gets targeted exactly like we want it to happen. Perfect, exactly like we were hoping for. And now we just need to make sure this maintains throughout. Now, one of the things we got to remember with, Taurus is, of course, that his A3 drops his HP. His next skill is going to be that A2 ability. It plays as a weaken, so it's a nice ability, but it also doesn't heal anything. And because we don't have Life Drinker, we don't have any, life steal sets, not going to heal him up. His A1, however, does have a passive ability that will heal himself. So you have to make sure that is not the next skill used. That's going to be real important. Because if he uses that A1 before the stun, it will absolutely mess things up, because he can, if he gets a War Master proc at the wrong time, it could fully heal him up. So that is one thing that we definitely have to avoid, but everything else is pretty self-explanatory here. I've talked about how we want to make sure we're using damage skills before that stun to make sure the other champions are healing up if they have lifesteal. And that's pretty much consistent here, but this is going to work very consistently, hopefully. I've yet to complete an actual run. I did this first. Emic didn't have life. He didn't have regen on. It was just 2 sets of Immortal and a Divine Speed set. They're all the same color, so I got confused. I had the wrong masteries on Valencia. I had the wrong skills for Geomancer. I had the wrong skills and sets for Doom Priest. I've messed this up a bunch of different times, but the reason why I stick with it is because I know this can work, because we're using the mechanics of the game to our advantage. We're making sure everybody's healing up more than Taurus, and Taurus is healing just enough so that he can still be a stun target. Obviously, there are other champions we can use besides Taurus. He's not the only one. I'll try to go over a few of them at the end of this video so you guys have some options and ideas. And I do plan on doing another video anyway. I might have already gone out. I don't know the timing of these things. Showing it with Skull Crusher. So there's going to be a variety of ways you can build this team. The reason why we're showcasing Taurus is he's kind of a special case in how you build him and how you set it up, because he drops his HP to 0, because you need him to heal up again. It makes things a little bit different as far as trying to go about it and making it work for you. So that's the idea here. Hopefully this will work just fine. So in the meantime, since it's doing pretty good right now, let's go look at the champions, and then hopefully we'll come back and the run will still be going. Well, we might as well start off by looking at Emic. Emic is going at 247 speed. We've got him in regen, we've got him in Immortal gear, the kind of stuff we need to be able to stay alive and have more HP than Taurus does, right? We're still getting the Doom Priest healing. And he's gonna work out great for us in that. He does do some damage. He's not a crazy damage dealer, but I built him out about as well as I could. And then we have Doom Priest, very similar to how I had Emic build out. We've got the regen, we've got the Immortal gear, trying to build up the damage as much as possible. Doom Priest is going fastest at 187. I should note that if you go on the website, there's various speed ranges that work for different comps and different versions. This is the one with the cleanser. So you just want to make sure you follow those. I am doing these videos basically to make sure they work for the difficulty I'm doing it at. It doesn't always translate when it's going Nightmare or Ultra Nightmare, Spirit Affinity versus Void. So just make sure to double check your teams when you're actually building your squad out. That said, I like her build a lot. Definitely defensive masteries on her, as I'm going to see on pretty much everybody here. It's the way to go. You get some free counterattacks that way. Definitely recommend that. Then we have Geomancer in lifesteal gear. Easy way to heal up, putting them in lifesteal. Definitely recommend that. If you have any sets, you're like, how do I build this? What's the best set? Regen or lifesteal. Lifesteal's the best. If you can do it, do it. That's going to be the best one. I haven't built to do damage, not as high as I typically would, but I still think pretty significant numbers here. The most important thing is accuracy to land that HP burn. It's super effective with unkillable comps because you take damage and he's able to reflect that back. So 100% recommend Geomancer for this particular composition. And then we have Thalesia as well. She's there mostly to extend the duration of the debuffs from Geomancer. Also places a decreased defense, so she's bringing a lot to the table that we need. We have her at 175 speed, kind of in that middle range there. We have her built for damage, plenty of accuracy, exactly what we want, right? And of course, lifesteal, so she can stay alive. And then finally, we have the star of the show, Taurus, regen set and more. Perception set, excuse me. Regen set, perception set. With Doom Priest healing, we don't need the immortal to put us over the top. A regen set and immortal set is what you need though. Regen by itself is not going to be enough. Mastery wise, I went support tree. I just didn't want any extra healing. I didn't want any extra protection. I wanted Taurus to be squishy, and he is. So it works really well. 175 speed. It doesn't really matter where we're at in that comp, as we're not blocking the debuff here, and he has a 2-turn unkillable, so it's going to be fine pretty much anywhere you slot him into the DPS area. I would like a little bit more accuracy to make sure we land more of those poisons. Probably should roll up that amulet as well to make sure that he does a little bit more crit damage, but still, all that said, I think he does a really good job for us here. $50 turns, 56 plus million. That's a pretty darn good result. I'm actually really happy with that team. I'm so stoked that it actually worked. It makes me really happy. That's a pretty darn good result, I would say. 14 million from Taurus. You can see so many poisons, so powerful. It's a good team. It's just, I mean, I don't know. There's no two ways about it. It's a really good team. So before we wrap up, there's a couple things. There's something actually vitally important to this tune that you need to be aware of if you're going to run this. I mean, like, you have to know this, because if you want to run this team on Nightmare, on Spirit, there's going to be a small change. And there's a note towards the bottom of the website that specifies this, but you guys got to be aware of this. But basically, at the very bottom, there's going to be some little notes about, in the advanced notes, about speeds if you're using a cleanser. If you're using a cleanser and you're on Nightmare, you really need to make sure your fastest DPS, normally it's somewhere between like 175 and 178 that we want our DPS at, right? And that's where we have Taurus, Geomancer, and Thalesia, right? They're all in that, 175, 174 to 178 speed. But if you're going against Nightmare and you're using a cleanser, like we are here with Taurus, which is important, we need to make sure that stun doesn't land. But and you're not using a block debuff champion, it's vitally important that we make sure that our fastest DPS is 179 speed. It can go all the way up to 181, right? And if you're somewhere between 179 and 181, it will work for both Nightmare and Ultra Nightmare. The reason why we don't recommend that is it delays falling into sync on Ultra Nightmare. And if you're not using a designated stun target like a Taurus, it can cause issues where somebody like Emic might get targeted instead. But if you're using a Taurus or a Skull Crusher, it's not as big of an issue because the stun is being guided towards them much more cleanly. So you don't have to worry nearly as much about that. So in this team, you definitely want to make sure that fast DPS is like 179, between 179 and 181 speed. That's just something to kind of keep in mind as you're approaching things, as you're looking at it. I just really encourage you guys to, fix that in your head and make sure that you make sure to read all the notes, I guess, because Taurus can get really complex. One of the other things obviously is like you can put Emic in a lifesteal set. You can do the same thing with Doom Priest. Got to make sure they're actually using a damage skill on that last attack. That's where I ran into issues with Doom Priest. Also ran into issues with Geomancer. But Taurus is a really nice fit here. I mean, it's really nice. Doesn't take a lot to make it work. It's really making sure everybody else is geared up properly. And that's the biggest challenge to this team. Not the speeds, not the champions, it's the gear. Because you need regen gear, you need lifesteal gear, or you need lifesteal, immortal, regen, some combination of those skills. And then Taurus definitely needs something like that. Now, I think you can make Taurus work with a Guardian set. I think that would be wonderful. It's a 10% heal on top of the 7.5 from Doom Priest. That should be plenty. Arguably, you could use 3 Immortal sets. That's 9. Plus the 7.5% from Doom Priest should just get you over that threshold, right? So there are a few different ways you can go about doing this. But it is important just to know that, you really have to clear that 16% hurdle. If you can do that, this team should work really well for you guys. So it's a little bit complex, a little bit tricky. It's not an easy tune, so just kind of keep that in mind. But if you can get it to work, it's going to work beautifully. As you guys can see, I mean, 56 million not using OP champions at all is a pretty darn good result. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. I definitely enjoyed making it. And yeah, we're going to keep bringing out some Emic tunes because if you guys are fusing them, you're going to want to know all the different ways you can utilize them. That's what we're going to be working on. So thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. I always forget to say that. Don't forget to subscribe. Hit that notification bell. It's very important to helping support me and the channel and the stuff that I do. Make sure to check out the website. Read the instructions all the way through. Read them carefully. And if you have questions, my Discord is the place to do that. There's links for that down below in the pinned comment description of this video. The website too. All the stuff is down there. Come follow me. Come hang out with me. We'll, you can see what I'm doing in the world. I don't know, guys. I don't know. At some point, you just run out of words. We're going to end it here. Thank you so much for watching. Till next we meet, I'm the Deadwood Jedi.